Perfect. Okay, thank you guys so much for coming. I'm excited to share with you guys, work with you, um, and talk about all the fun things in regards to emotions today. So a few people mentioned some emotions that they're experiencing currently, some that people they know are experiencing, and sorry, I just want to get this up right here. Let anybody in that they need to come in. Okay. And so I took those emotions and added them into today's kind of deciphering of what emotions people are experiencing. And then I kind of wanted to talk about things that are common to experience during the holidays, the emotions that we might be experiencing then. So emotions can get in the way or get you on your way. Kind of how you respond to your emotions is the path that you're going to end up taking. And so I really recommend that you be authentic with yourself. So don't worry about meeting others' expectations and stretching your emotional exhaustion. And just keep yourself emotionally happy, because in doing so, those around you will be happy. And so I guess if you've ever heard of the idea that your demeanor and your attitude affect everyone who's around you. So if you're feeling down, if you're negative, if you're constantly talking about poor me and all the negative things that are happening in your life, you're bringing down other people's emotional energy as well. And so that's something to be aware of. And so that's how it can either get in your way or get you on your way. If you're happy, you're going to go full force in your life. You're going to be like, I am riding my highs. The frequency is higher. Your emotions are higher. And that's what's going to carry you on your way to reaching your goals, to your success, to your happiness. And just taking care of yourself. So when you are in a state of struggling emotionally, or you feel like there is something weighing on your shoulders, I do encourage you to do the work. One thing I do, and why I love the emotional side of things, is I am an essential emotions coach. We help guide people through their emotions and pair them with an essential oil. So that's kind of why I'm doing the topic today. And I talk about it often so that people know that there is an alternative to maybe just diving into medication or not getting the help they need at all, because there is that underlying thought that people have placed in others' minds that when you get help, that equals weakness. And that's not the case. In fact, when you do the work and you release your emotions, that's when you will find the most peace, especially internally. So right now, with life being so heavy and a lot's going on in the world, but also in everybody's individual lives, there is a lot of emotional toll that's happening, especially around the holidays. We're hitting here in the United States. We just had Thanksgiving. We have Christmas coming up. We have New Year's and all that's going on. Some of the main emotional tolls that we're taking are mental health challenges. That's a huge one. Our world is in a mental health crisis right now. There's depression, there's anxiety, really just some scary mental health struggles. Another big one that takes an emotional toll on people is their finances, where you're sitting, being able to support your family, being able to provide, making sure that you're able to put food on the table and have a house over your family's heads. Finances are a huge thing that weigh on people personally and in a relationship as well. Going back to the holidays, there's a lot of busyness throughout the holidays. It's kind of chaos that comes with the emotion of overwhelm too. And so when you're feeling a little bit crazy, like there's so much to do, because I feel like we stack a lot of to-do lists. I got to get this done. I want this. I need this to be perfect. There's a lot of expectations. There's another emotional toll. And another big one is family. Not necessarily just your family unit, but your extended family and friends. When you're gathering together in the holidays, fun little topics get brought up, maybe things that kind of get you fuming and get you upset. And so you have to kind of be aware of your emotional take on each of those. And I was listening to a call from our coach's session the other day, and Amanda Porter was saying that you need to make sure that you're not taking that time at the dinner table to start addressing those topics and those things that get you emotionally heated. That's not the time or the place to bring up frustration or anger or disagreements. That's the time for unity and peace and calm and comfort, right? So, as I'm saying, our emotions are heightened during the holidays. There's a lot of things that go on. The weather's changing in the northern hemisphere, and so that brings about dark days and that seasonal depression that's making us kind of feel yucky and sad. And then that kind of leads into, sometimes for some people, this is the saddest time of the year. Maybe grief and loss. If their family member is struggling to cope with that loss, they might not want to be around for Christmas. They might not want to be around anybody during the holidays, because for them, they associate holidays with loss, right? So that's something to be aware of too. I kind of just mentioned on the last slide too, that's reaction during family time. Dinner table is not the time or place. Family time right there is not the time or place to bring up emotions that are going to be heightened. And so just kind of remembering that your emotional health is going to equal happier holidays, happier days for you, just an overall sense of neutral, even on a scale of how high we are emotionally versus how low we are emotionally. Just making sure that we're taking care of ourselves, because then we can better take care of others and even lift others up. So some of the common emotions that got brought up, and some things that I kind of thought of as well, are overwhelm, feeling exhausted. There's a lot of people that are just tired. Some people are feeling unfulfilled, and they might feel that way during the holidays. There was the emotion of fear or frustration. And also there's kind of an emotion of worry that people have. And so I want to dive into those a little bit. But first, let's talk about where these are held in our body. So overall, your emotions are held in your muscles, in your tendons, and different areas of the body, some more than others. So exhaustion can honestly be felt from your head to your toes. You feel it all over, but emotionally, it's held up here in the head. Going down, we feel that overwhelm in the neck and in the shoulders. Being unfulfilled kind of leans in the arms. And then there's that fear and frustration that sit in the gut and in the pelvic area. And then worry has a few different spots, mainly in the hands, but it can also sit in the feet, in the chest, in the mind. So that one kind of has an all over type sensation. But if you're noticing, what's really cool about emotions is when you notice maybe, okay, my shoulders are hurting, or my stomach's been really upset lately, there could quite possibly be a underlying emotion that you need to work through that is going to release that tension, release that emotion from your body. So that's just kind of like a quick perspective on where in the body it's held. And going forward, we're going to talk about some of the oils I recommend for each of these emotions. I would recommend placing them on your body over your pulse points, over your heart, maybe the back of the neck. And those are all places that you're going to absorb and increase an emotion, make you happier. And just inhaling it with a scent tent or diffusing is also going to encourage a positive emotional reaction, going through that olfactory system and giving you a positive outlook on that. So moving forward, this is the part that kind of gets very detailed. So I tried to narrow it down for you guys, but I'm just going to go through those 6 emotions and their supporting oils, my top choices for you in supporting each of those emotions. So our first emotion that we're going to address is overwhelm. And during these holidays, that overwhelm can be seen as too much on our to-do list. Life is super heavy, just in general. Take the holidays out of it. You might have kids who are in sports. You feel like other people might have expectations for you, or you've set higher expectations for yourself that you need to address too. Maybe there's a self placement of overwhelm. So basil oil is our renewal oil. I think it kind of makes me giggle a little bit when I think about these more what we know as herbs and spice type oils. I'm like, I don't know that I really want to put basil on, but we can. So looking into this one, it focuses on the main moods, and those moods are included in fatigue and overwhelm and the inability to cope with life's stressors. It gives us hope and helps us be more energized and renewed. So that's a great one to reach for when you're feeling overwhelmed. Another one is Aroma Touch. Aroma Touch is our massage blend, and it's great for physical tension, but emotionally, it provides comfort in struggles. And it kind of just opens that heart and relaxes the mind, which I feel like when you're feeling overwhelmed, that's a great one to be like, okay, I need relief, right? I need my mind to stop going on overdrive. I need a little bit of a relaxation moment, right? And so then also past tense. Past tense is a great one for head tension. Physically, it gives an emotional release as well as a stress release. And it releases fear and balances the body and its energy system. So bringing that body back to an equilibrium. So moving on to, actually overwhelm as well. There's two more that I didn't put on there that I just kind of wanted to touch really quick is balance, just because it kind of does exactly what it says it does. It balances you, but it's very grounding and relaxing. So that's a great one when you're feeling overwhelmed. And then another really fun one this time of year is Harvest Spice. Harvest Spice is kind of like our gathering, our comforting blend, but it also emotionally supports encouraging togetherness and leaning on others. So if you're feeling so overwhelmed that it's too much for you and you want to lean on someone else and you want to lean on your community and your family, it encourages that and it helps comfort in that scenario. So moving towards exhaustion and the emotion of just that constantly feeling exhausted and tired and fatigue. Again, basil is a great one to reach for, and it helps with the low energy and the fatigue. Supermint is a really great one to restore your energetic flow. Any kind of mint, peppermint, supermint, they're very uplifting and joyful type oils. Supermint specifically helps with perspective, giving that energy and motivation. And again, it helps you regain presence and passion and perspective. And then it also energizes the mind and focuses your attention. So when you're exhausted, your mind's obviously struggling too. You're not to full capacity. You're not chugging along. And so when you're able to grab Supermint and use that as your supporting oil, it's going to encourage that kind of refocus and energy, right? So just in the chat really quick, Bree said, I would have never thought of those oils for overwhelm. Yeah, just going back to this, I know it's really, the list goes on and on. You can use so many, but those are those top ones, again, with exhaustion. And then even the rest of them, they're top oils that I would reach for and that I know kind of based off of what I know people are struggling with. And that sense, these are the ones that I'd recommend for sure. So going on to, just kidding, Shinrin Yoku for exhaustion. So Shinrin Yoku, I think this is my new favorite oil. It smells amazing. I use it for so many things. I use it for sleep. I use it for relaxation. So this is our new blend, And Shinrin Yoku is the term, it's a Japanese term used for forest bathing. And so emotionally, it is helping with immersion, really just diving into a relaxive state, taking us back to a calm and rested mind. It's cleansing for both the mind and the body and the spirit, being very renewing and restorative. So very, very great one for exhaustion. Like I said, when I use it with sleep, I think it's going to help you get a better sleep. I know it does for me. So it's worth a shot for you if really just being fatigued and low energy is an issue. That's a great one. Okay, our third emotion is being unfulfilled. This is a very common one in the day-to-day, but also over the holidays. There is that sense of unfulfillment, maybe in I'm not being seen, I'm doing so much and they're not appreciative, or I don't have people around me, I don't have a community, feeling those kind of unfulfillment emotions, right? So cheer is a great one for uplifting your mood. It's our blend for cheerfulness. It encourages that happiness, right? It's going to address those who are feeling heavy-hearted, and if they're feeling weighed down. Remember, kind of going back to that exhaustion, that overwhelm, they kind of all fall together, right? Maybe their to-do list is too long and they're not accomplishing what they think they need to. It helps you overcome feelings of hopelessness and helplessness, and more so just reminds that the more life has hardships, the less you have to worry about that, if that makes sense. So like, there's more to life than just the hardships that we're facing, is kind of what cheerfulness and the oil of cheer help recognize. Another one is console. This is in our kids collection, but it very well can be used for adults. And it is exactly what it says. So actually, sorry, this one is not in our kids collection. This one's in an aroma collection that is going to help console the heart. And it is the oil of consolation. If something's missing in your life, going back to that unfulfillment, this is a great one to reach for. When your storms of life are coming on strong, it helps take those steps towards healing and lightening the burdens that are being felt in your life. Another one for unfulfillment is cedarwood. Kind of going back to that community, it brings people together. There's strength in numbers, right? So there's a feeling of belonging when you use cedarwood and feeling supported. A lot of our oils that are wood-based, they're very grounding and rooted. And so it's going to support emotionally that unfulfillment and feeling like I'm stable again. Okay. And then moving on to fear. Fear was one that got brought up, and there's different aspects to this. I feel like there's fear in what could happen, the unknown of the future. There's maybe fear in the moment, like I'm struggling with this, what if, right? Again, that what could happen. So brave, this one is in our kids collection. I'm going to get that one right for you. And this encourages courage, actually. And specifically, brave helps you recognize that with fear specifically, the only power fear has is the power that you're giving it. So confronting that fear and recognizing maybe the untruths that you believe about yourself, those limiting beliefs, and encouraging you to step outside that and have that courage. Another one is black spruce. There is this oil specifically for stability, but it helps you persevere through, again, those storms of life. And it's an ally, actually, in dealing with fear specifically. And there is another one too. I want to say it's Midnight Forest, that if you're feeling like in a dark space, so if your fear is driven towards really dark thoughts, things like that, reach for Midnight midnight forest as well. That one's, I didn't put on here, but I would encourage that. And then the last one for fear is guaiac wood. Again, going back to our wood oils, our tree oils, is that anchoring in the roots. This one specifically leans towards self-discovery and almost more so on a spiritual level, but really recognizing that there is peace that comes when you're connected with what you fear. I know that sounds weird, but when you recognize what you're fearing and you confront it and you face it, you can even make like a game plan of how it's going to go about. Visualizations in a positive form are a great way to go about this. So if you're fearing something, you need to take that in your mind and picture it in a positive way. What's the best outcome for it? What is an alternate option for what could come about, right? The next one is frustration. So frustration is an emotion that I feel like comes on pretty quick for people. And so my favorite one to reach for is geranium. This one is a very strong oil, in my opinion, but I've seen it work amazing wonders for myself, for my kids. It is the oil of love and trust. And I feel like especially as parents, I'm not sure how many of you are a mom or a dad, but there's a lot of frustration raising kids. And so it encourages that emotional love and honesty, and empathy. And what it does is, this is my favorite part, it establishes a bond between parents, between a mother and a father. And I feel like that's when you can unite as parents during frustration and not use it as an excuse to get mad at each other because your child made you frustrated. That's when you are going to have that unity and that love and working together through that frustration, right? Being heard, communication, those kind of things. And then it just helps with forgiving others too. So if you are frustrated, but then like, okay, let's say you get mad at your child or you're mad at your friend or your spouse, that frustration makes both of you kind of feel pretty crappy. At least it has for me. And so bringing back that forgiveness and recognizing that there doesn't need to be constant anger or frustration. There can be a happy medium or a positive outcome, right? Another one is cardamom. It is good at helping you regain self-control. So a lot of the times when you get frustrated, you lose self-control. It's very common. Another thing with this one is it helps you not to blame others for your frustrations, for your reactions. And then it encourages being peaceful, calm, and controlling, being able to control your emotion. And then that last one is the emotion of worry. There's two oils that I reach for during this one. And this first one is sandalwood. Again, going back to that kind of spiritual connection. It is the oil of sacred devotion. It helps you kind of quiet your mind and still your heart when you're worried. It gives you a moment to kind of chill and take a perspective that is going to allow you to recognize what's actually going on and maybe limit that worry. It helps you access where the heart aligns and realign your priorities. So being humble and conscious as well. And then the last one for worry is adaptive. This overall is a calming blend, but it is the oil of adaptability. And it kind of just gives you that reassurance. Adaptive helps you also look deeper. So if you no longer know the way, if you're worrying about the future, if you're worrying about your path, it also encourages you and lets you know that you're never alone in the outcome. You're never alone on your path in that worry. So those are the 6 most common emotions that either came up or that I kind of wanted to address today. And then just really quick, you decipher your own emotions and how you're going to react, how you're going to feel. You can't let others make you feel a certain way. That's on you. I know that's kind of like a tough one to swallow. It's a tough pill to swallow right there. But your emotion, you're allowed to feel it, you're allowed to accept it and process it, but don't let others make you feel a certain way. You can't assume what someone might be feeling or the reactions that they give you is a projection of who you are. And on the flip side of things, don't let others' reactions and things like that determine your self-worth and your happiness, right? Our emotions are lessons for us. They give us triggers of what we're really feeling and what's going on in our body and in our minds. And I just want to encourage again those positive outlooks. If you're feeling like somebody's kind of coming at you, maybe reevaluate and step back and look at what's being felt. And is that really you? Or is it maybe your projection of what you're trying to decipher their reaction to be? Right. So that's just kind of all I wanted to talk about today. And that closes that up. Does anyone have any questions or comments before we end today's class? Okay. Thank you, Mariah. I am going to stop recording this really quick before we get off. And I appreciate you guys all for coming. If you do